This is a special episode of Sacred Lovisa podcast, hosted by Dottie and co-hosted by myself, Stephen Phillips. Let me just get the Facebook going and the Telegram, and then we'll start. All right. Okay, here we go. We are live on Facebook, Telegram, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and several others. So, with that being said, we have a very special presentation for you today. This is the Sacred Lovisa podcast. Dottie is our host. I am the co-host. And when she's on my show, she's the co-host and I'm the host, et cetera, et cetera. So introduce yourself real quick, Dottie, and kind of maybe just
So
tell them our viewers what we're going to be talking about today a little bit.
tonight we're going to be talking about pretty much what's going on. We're going to be talking about the water in Missouri and some what is it called, a transit that they want to do to move things back and forth. I don't know. It's a whole lot of stuff.
So basically, draining the Missouri swamp. There's something going on with the water, folks, that we want to share with you. We think is important to what's going on all around the country, and having to do with these 15-minute cities, quote unquote. So, with that being said, I think we should get right into it
Yeah,
for the guy's presentation and then go from there. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Let me just bring it up here and share my screen, and then you guys can see for yourselves. Make sure my sound is going. Okay, that's good. All right.
Welcome to everyone watching us on Twitter tonight as well. And of course, Odyssey. Can't forget about Odyssey. Good old Odyssey. And we have two currently watching us there. Okay. Well, gang, I'm going to go ahead and start out tonight. First of all, I'm not going to have that long of a diatribe tonight. I want to thank all of you for being here. Tonight's going to be a very important show. We're going to bring up some data and put together some puzzle pieces for everybody. And we should. I mean, actually, honest to God, this is something that we should be doing as citizens. We have a great lineup in Gilded tonight, but we're getting a presentation from Isaac. And that'll begin in just a moment. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on up in Jefferson City and in the Senate. And I think a lot of people are confused as to what's going on because you have the establishment Republicans calling the Freedom Caucus swamp creatures. And of course, the guys in the Freedom Caucus are simply saying, hey, listen, we just want IP reform. The same thing that's been promised for 18 darn years in a row. 18 years, gang. We can't get it done. Why can't we get it done? Well, it's because of the establishment Republicans. Unfortunately, the Democrats don't want it either, but they're not a big enough force by themselves to actually shut that operation down. This is critical to Missouri to prevent all kinds of nefarious things from ending up on the ballot, which may or may not end up in the Constitution of the great state of Missouri. We all need to keep a good eye on that. But lots of things go on in the background. You know, basically, we're going to talk about silver and gold tonight. But first, we're going to actually hand it over to Isaac and a presentation he's going to give us on some legislation that's going on, partnerships, contracts, all kinds of concerns in the state of Missouri that tie into most likely the WEF and the New World Order. And some of these names are people you will have heard of, some of these corporations you will have heard of. And I really, truly hope that people do take this kind of stuff seriously, because this is the kind of stuff that happens when you have big distractions like a fight in the Senate in the state of Missouri, stuff going on the border of Texas, crap going down in D.C. Thankfully, very few of us pay much attention to that. But these are the kinds of things that can slip through the cracks. And that's why Isaac has agreed to join us tonight and present some of the data from months and months of research about what may or may not be going on in the state of Missouri. And if my camera glitches out tonight, guys, I'll turn it off because I had a problem with it earlier, so it's not distracting. But Isaac, are you there, sir?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can. I'm going to turn you up just a little bit just to make sure everyone hears you real good. And if you would, everyone, let's save our questions. He's thinking roughly 20 minutes or so. Might take a little bit longer for his presentation. Then we can ask questions based on the data. If you have questions you want to ask that you don't want to forget, please put them in the comment section. Let's not interrupt Isaac when he's doing his presentation. And Isaac, you have the floor, sir. Thank you.
All right. So hello, everybody. Thanks for having me here. As everybody knows, it seems like Jefferson City has gone completely ballistic this past week. And I'm reminded of something that I think it was Sun Tzu that said, where there is great chaos, there is also great opportunity. And some of the things that are going on that seem so benign scare me a lot more than some of the stuff that's making a lot of the noise out there. Two bills really are what I'm going to try to focus on tonight. And there are a lot of pieces that really, it's a really scattered, really complicated subject. So I'm going to try to keep as easy as I can to make this simple for people to understand, because it is really easy to get down a lot of this. So just so everybody knows, pretty much everything I'm going to cover tonight is actually found on government websites. Most of it is the state of Missouri websites, some federal websites, and everything's mainstream news sources. So this isn't me making something up from the dark corners of the internet 4chan forum. It's the official documents, and those are the things that scare me more than anything right now. So two of the bills that are there, the first one is Senate Bill 782. This was sponsored by Senator Bean. And it creates provisions relating to water exportation outside of the state. And what it says is it should be unlawful any person to withdraw any water source for export outside the state of Missouri unless. That word unless is very important. Such person holds a water permit issued directly by the Department of Natural Resources. This has already made it into first and second readings. It has had its hearing conducted. I believe it was Tuesday. I'm not sure if it has passed committee or not. The second bill is House Bill 2153, and it is amending, making lots of amendments to water exportation across state boundaries. This one also has had its first and second reading. It had its hearing in the House Tuesday as well, and has already passed its House committees. So both of these things are really, really bad. The one that's most concerning to me is Senate Bill 782, because it has banning water exportation with exceptions. Okay, how come you're banning something that isn't going on currently, but then making a provision for it to happen? And whenever I was listening to the hearing on it Tuesday, Senator Bean had already mentioned that he had been in touch with the stakeholders involved dealing with this. Well, who are the stakeholders if it's not going on currently? And why ban the export with exceptions unless you know those people who are already going to get those permits with those exceptions? And why modify all of the sections relating to water exporting out? So just so everybody knows, Senator Jason Bean is from a very interesting district. He is from Butler, Carter, Duncan. He's down in the Cape Girardeau area. He's the one that sponsored this. He's the assistant majority floor leader. And Jamie Berger is the guy who sponsored this in the House. He is also from the Cape Girardeau area. Both of them are the assistant floor leaders for each house. So I'm going to pause a little bit and take you guys down a path of some things that I've been researching for the past several months. And in order to understand where I'm going to be going with this, we have to step back to the fall of 2021. Governor Parsons signed an executive order commissioning the Missouri Supply Chain Task Force report. So if everybody remembers what happened in 2021 or 2020 with all the supply chain collapses that went on, this report was commissioned by the governor, and he appointed certain stakeholders. And those stakeholders, as I scroll down here, if I can find them, some of these places include Union Pacific Railroad. That's a very interesting one. If anybody doesn't know this or not, they are connected to the migrant border crisis going on in Texas. You also have river barge, people. The Missouri Partnership is an interesting one. They specialize in public-private partnerships dealing with the state of Missouri, and they will be playing a very later. General Mills, the huge, grain and food producer. So tons of people were involved in this, and lots of major corporations. Port Kansas City is another one that will play in as well. So this entire 113-page document is very long and very boring. And if anybody suffers from insomnia, I recommend this for good reading for everybody, because it will put you to sleep. But if you actually read some of the things that are inside of it, you will might not sleep for a while. Because this report actually kicks off with challenges and barriers to the supply chain crisis. And a lot of these things I find very, very sad, because as you get in through this report, some of the things that they are finding as a big problem is, let me find my notes here. It says one of the big things is the turnover rate that's been happening in the industry of workers switching companies and churn within the industry. It's a problem that they have all these people that work in warehousing and shipping and trucking, and it's so terrible that they're quitting their jobs because they're getting better pay elsewhere. And these corporations and these stakeholders are having a big problem with it. Another barrier that they're finding, get down to page 10 here. I scroll down to the bottom of page 10. You begin to see some things here. It says, many workers, particularly those in low income or entry experience barriers to employment that hinder their ability to access and maintain employment. These barriers to employment represent a wide array of socioeconomic and geographic factors that incur cost or present logistical challenges for job seekers. Barriers to employment often fall upon two planes: economic and behavior. And here's where it gets interesting. Humans are not rational actors. This requires us to not simply subscribe a rational theory to barriers to employment. Thus, barriers represent both lack of good or service that a worker needs in order to participate in the workforce, as well as human factors such as self-efficacy, ability to manage home budgets, and understanding how to leverage public resources to gain access to training and employment. Principles of supply and demand must be coupled with understanding of how human behavior to ensure policy recommendations addresses the full spectrum to barriers to employment. So they're essentially telling that, people are too stupid to know how to handle their money and use government resources to get jobs. They're too stupid to stay in these positions. It's bad that they're leaving their jobs for better conditions and better pay, and it's affecting a lot of things. If we go down to page 12, they talk about the child care concerns. This is very interesting because this ties into something the governor said this week about one of his big agendas being child care in the state for people so women can get to work instead of take care of their children. I understand, and I'm not trying to bash any, single mom who needs assistance with childcare, but there is a massive push in what I believe, as Retha has been discussing the school bond issues and why the schools need to increase their educational basis. I'm going to step over here to KY3. Governor Parsons made a comment. His high priority list is actually working on the child care thing. And he says job creation starts with the child, Governor Parsons said. You have to get them ready with an education. You have to get them ready for the workforce. If we don't have the ability to take care of them in early childhood training, learning centers, and able to take care of those facilities, that's something we need to do a better job of. So as you
Real quick, I just want to point out, wasn't it one of these famous freaking families or persons from these families that said, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers.
Yeah.
So just think about that for a second, folks.
we see that childcare, they're wanting to extend the school system to be able to go all the way down into childcare as soon as the child can get into the system, just for the purpose of keeping more women and mothers in the workforce. Heaven forbid we have a nuclear family where mother homeschools kids. It can be that interferes with the economic well-being of the state. Some of these other things are dealing with. Page 15 deals with housing. So page 15 really drives down and starts talking about how we don't have enough housing next to all of these factories that we need to build, and there's not enough. We need government housing for all of our growth and economic development that we're rebuilding our state with, and we don't have childcare facilities next to schools, next to jobs, next to homes, and it's a problem. Next thing you get down into is transportation and how it is getting too difficult for people to buy vehicles. You have people not able to drive the long distances to where these factories are, and childcare and all these things. And essentially what this entire report starts off with, it's really they're making the case for the need for what appears to be a 15-minute city. We need government childcare. We need government schooling. We need government housing. We need government factories. And all these stakeholders want the government to give them solutions to this entire thing. Essentially, this is the blueprint for how we are going to build back better Missouri. It plays in a lot of, World Economic Forum goals, Agenda 2030, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's really interesting because of the location of where Senator Bean and Representative Berger are at. Just happen to be representative of where the WE has their headquarters at in Missouri, and that is in Cape Girardeau, which is a very interesting place due to things that are, plans they have to rebuild our state's infrastructure and supply chains. Other things in this report, it is, it goes on for page after page after page, and let's see if I can find where it's at, because in this report, towards the bottom, it keeps going on with tons of stuff. One of the things he mentions is this rail merger we just happened to have with Canada Pacific and Kansas City Southern, connecting Canada, Mexico, and the United States supply chain wise. This whole thing is just, it reeks with just things that every globalist agenda is found inside of this report. And I'm going to try to, I don't think I put the, let me see if I can find which page, because you get down to the very end of where this report, and it's on page 85. I'm going to get down there real quick. Forgive me on not having this page ready to go. So in this public comments record, there's some interesting people that are mentioned. And one of this was a person who represented the Magnet Group of the Cape Girardeau Area Economic Development Group. They are, they pretty much are where Jason Bean and Jamie Berger both represent. And Cape Girardeau has some very interesting plans that they have for America. One of the things this group is advocating for is something called an east-west freight corridor known as the Trans-American Corridor. So if anybody has ever heard of that, it is something, well, if you haven't heard of it, I'll explain it here in a moment. They go on and explain what they need and all sorts of things. Let me jump over to where the site that they link here, the transamericancorridor.com. And what is the Trans-American Corridor that they're looking at? Clean energy support, what it provides. And if you just scroll down through what they're wanting to do, they're wanting to create a North American supergrid, high-speed freight rail systems, natural gas pipelines. Here's the one that's more pertinent is water pipelines are very high priority for this thing. And they're talking about this new mother road. Essentially what they want to do is have an entire North American supergrid. It will connect the United States, Mexico, and Canada under a single power grid located in that area. They want water and other resources pipeline. They want to be able to, as it says here, water, broadband, internet, significant parts, eliminate overcrowding. There's just all sorts of things that they want to do in this, all of this located in Southeast. And what's interesting is in this, they mention, this report, they mention how this is actually a priority for the federal government. So I'm coming here to the Federal Highways Administration.gov. So this is a list of Federal Highway Administration's high priority projects they have. What's interesting is that all the top three for federal level priorities all deal with Missouri. One of them is from Kansas City to Shreveport. I'll pull up a Google map here so people can see if there's an interesting reason, and this connects into it. So I'll take this little side trip here. Kansas City to Shreveport, you don't have really good highway connection between Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Shreveport. And there's a very interesting project that just happened to start about a month or so ago. Sarah Huckabee Sanders just authorized a lithium mining facility that's right here in southwestern Arkansas. And what's interesting is, does anybody out there know who the largest farmland owner in Arkansas is? It just happens to be Bill Gates. And with those farmlands come water rights. I was just about to guess that. It's actually Bill Gates, and his farmland sits just right really close to where this whole lithium mining operation is at. And right now, in order to get lithium from this area right here in southwest Arkansas to Kansas City, which is playing a very important role, as we'll find here in a little bit, they need a better way than going through Little Rock or through Oklahoma City to get transportation through. So that's the number one high priority goal. They also have an avenue of the Saints from St. Louis to Minneapolis. That would give interstate direct to a very interesting port of Duluth, where it is the largest inland port of grain. Tons of grain flow through here. So there's no interstate connection up here. So what they're needing is an entire United States interstate system south that is more efficient, dealing and all centralized in Missouri. Number three is the east-west Trans-American Corridor, starting in the Atlantic and then going through Missouri all the way out west. you'll see across southern Kansas. So this Trans-American Corridor isn't just some plan that some business leaders in Cape Girardeau have. It's actually been a very high priority of the federal government for a long time. And what's concerning is this water pipeline that they have, and what influences are pushing to take Missouri's water out of our state. So, if you follow the news you'll know that out in the western United States, there's been facing with droughts, all sorts of, water resource fighting. You see people in the nation of China is fighting very hard to secure clean water because of how they've abused that resources there with pollution and just the egregious conditions that they farmed their land with and such. There's a lot of concerns about this because Cape Girardeau is the location of one of the largest areas of Chinese-owned farmland, as I'm told. So with farmland comes water rights. So why is the World Economic Forum in that section of our state? Why is there lots of Chinese farmland purchased in our state in that section? And why are there plans from Senator Bean to create provisions to export water out of our state? Whenever this Senate Bill 782 was in committee, there were some very interesting projects brought up that pertain to water exportation outside of our state. One of them was the Kansas Aqueduct, which would actually divert and pump water from north of St. Joseph area out to western Kansas through a giant pipeline and pumping stations. Another one was, I believe it was the Red River Project in the upper Missouri River to take it out to western North Dakota and reroute part of the Missouri River over. Another project that was brought up as an area of concern is the Roy Blunt Reservoir that's being built in north central Missouri. What I thought was there were some concerns about what's that water going to be used for? Are there pipe that water out? What's interesting is back, I think it was in 2012, Governor Parsons was then, I believe, senator at the time, and he was one of the people that was pushing to get China's approval for China to own like 10,000 acres up by Milan in north central Missouri, where this water project is going on. So he was trying to push actively to get Chinese influence in that region, buying water rights, buying farmland, and now they have a massive Roy Blunt sponsored reservoir. There were some concerns brought up, people against this. Who it was, but there were lots of concerns about would China use our water to pipe out for fresh drinking water. So weather states and all this, because what about people that have wells? What's going to happen if we start piping all of our water out? Why is there this seems very suspicious. And if you do some digging about the water aquifers, I have a map here from the Department of Natural Resources. And there are two primary aquifers in southern Missouri. This one here is the Salem Plateau Aquifer. It covers most of southern Missouri and a good chunk of north central Arkansas. Inside of it, there's approximately 225 trillion gallons of some of the freshest drinkable potable water in the world. It's one of the cleanest, most pristine, unpolluted water sources left on planet Earth that's not under giant sheets of ice in the Arctic. And there's also this interesting spot right here, if people can see on the map, this big empty spot. That's actually a separate aquifer that is several hundred feet deeper than this aquifer. That's called, I believe, the St. Francis Aquifer. What's interesting is what is in this white section right here is one of the very, very critical things that everything needed for Agenda 2030, everything needed for the fourth industrial revolution is found in this little white section surrounded by all of this water. And just this year, they have started hauling cobalt out of this area. This area is also home to the lead mines, the four lead mines found right here in Iron County, Reynolds County, this area. Those 4 mines are all run by Doe, which is together, they produce more lead than the largest and second largest lead mines in the world combined. So it is the poorest, richest, densest source of lead. They've also found cobalt in this area. They also have copper in this area. They have nickel, and silver is another byproduct. This area has produced as much as 2.5 million ounces of silver as a byproduct of the lead production that happens there in a year. A lot of it ranges around 1 million ounces a year. What's interesting is there's this company called Missouri Cobalt. And does anybody know what cobalt is needed for?
Computer chips.
They need it for computer chips. They need it for batteries, EV vehicles. All of this thing. The need for electric charging stations, connected vehicles, self-driving vehicles, that was all mentioned as well in the Missouri transportation thing. You notice here, you see some things about ESG projects and the cobalt that's here. So right now, there's only one other remaining cobalt mine in the United States, and it is, I believe, in Idaho. And it doesn't produce a fraction of what's needed. And the problem with the one there is the way it's bound in the rock is so toxic that they have to take it to Argentina to smelt and process. The cobalt here that is found is so pure that they don't have to. And I don't have it right up here, but from what numbers are estimating inside of this one cobalt mine, if I'm correct in this, and I will be corrected on this if someone can prove me wrong, it seems like there's enough cobalt in this one mine to do all of the manufacturing we need for every bit of Agenda 2030, electric vehicles, electric everything, decarbonization, and all this other ESG stuff they're wanting to do. We could do all of our goals for 10 years with this one mine without any external inputs. This is essentially the largest cobalt deposit in North America. Now, what's interesting about cobalt is about 75% of the world's supply is inside the Democratic Republic of Congo in the heart of Central Africa. So there's some interesting things there with what's going on in Central Africa, and why did the Wagner group from Russia go down to Central Africa, and Russia sponsored several coups in Central Africa to overthrow a belt of nations across Central Africa, and a lot of it's going and circling around the Congo. Some of the export means they have in the Congo to get this cobalt out just happens to be ports around Yemen, which that whole area now is on fire, and the war's breaking out. This cobalt we get right here from our own state. We have infrastructure to get that out. We have highways, and it can be used. And there's this massive mineral grab going on overseas in Africa because whoever controls this one resource controls computer chips and batteries, phones, anything connected. This is one vital resource, and this one central area in Missouri has a massive amount of abundance in it. So what's interesting is who owns this mine, and Stacey Hasty is one of the people, but there's some very interesting people connected to this. And I think why these water and mineral rights issues and topics in this pipeline is of such high priority to the fact that these 2 bills that I mentioned are just flying through the House and the Senate, is because there's a certain person behind this name. And I'm on the Secretary of State here website. And does anybody know the name John Deal? He is the former Speaker of the House of the state of Missouri. and he is the registered agent for Missouri Cobalt Investments, Missouri Mining Investments, an affiliate company of Missouri Cobalt called Environmental Risk Transfer Services. Essentially, it's a subsidiary company of the cobalt mine, which assumes all of the liability for all the environmental damage that's done by the mine. Cobalt mining, it's very toxic. You can see pictures online of these kids in Africa that are mining this cobalt and the atrocious chemicals they're surrounded by. This company right here assumes all the risk for that to insulate the actual mining practices. And I can't prove this, but it seems like what they do is to achieve net zero, they have to, either buy carbon credits or offset their emission standards with other green, quote unquote, green investments to push this through. So, John Deal is also very good friends with a very important Speaker of the House we have now, of Dean Plocker. Another thing is
corporations can buy carbon credits from other businesses.
Exactly. So another thing that you see John Deal involved, he's also a registered agent for tons of LLCs that deal with river ports. If anybody remembers last year, river port development was good. Well, he personally benefits from some of that stuff. He also is involved in if you look, there's like 5 pages of stuff that he is involved in. And he has river ports, transportation companies, mining companies, low-income housing projects. All those projects we mentioned back here in this report about the supply chain task force, he just happens to have his fingers in a lot of stuff. And his good buddy is Dean Plocker. So to give you guys an idea of some of the magnitude of what's going on, this cobalt mine is very big, and this was from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. It says Ozarks should be a key in turning lead mine waste into the guts of cutting-edge batteries. And there is this area called the Lead Belt. I'm trying to find out where this exactly was, but you can look and see through this entire thing that was put out. There's a lot of funding that has happened with the Biden administration. There are plans to have this in this article. Essentially, they're trying to make this section of Missouri a new Silicon Valley of sorts. If you start looking at some of the projects that they have through here and how it's going to, do all these things, they've secured $200 million already from a British mining company. To put this lead mine's based in Fredericktown. They have another $40 and $70 million coming in. They're getting a large scaling facility ready in Rolla at Missouri S&T. All of this stuff is being done to really turn Missouri into one of the leading ESG people. So another one of these projects they have here is, if you go to the Missouri Partnership, I mentioned they were one of the stakeholders in the supply chain report. And electric vehicle battery production plant opens in St. Louis in Missouri. ICL Group, hang on a second. That was one of the companies that everybody remembers here a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago. Dean Plocker, Governor Parsons.
Took a trip to Israel.
The wife of the chief of staff took a trip to Israel and met with this group who's helping invest inside of all of these things. They were also involved with a lab-created meat plant going into St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of this stuff in here. So what's interesting about the Missouri Partnership is if you go to their homepage, they are specialists in private partnerships, economic development organizations. Read that as fascist that are the winners picked by the government, and the government does what the corporations say. Billions in investment that they've helped in research and development, manufacturing, computers, all sorts of stuff. Other tech companies, I don't have them up here right now, have been, there is a large, it's a carbon nanotube paste facility being built in Kansas City. You have the new Facebook data center going in Kansas City. You have a 1 million square foot computer chip semiconductor factory being built in the Wichita area. That's one of the key locations they're wanting to connect with this Trans-American corridor. You have another organization through the state, and I don't have that prepared now. It's a public-private partnership organization working with just tech companies inside of Springfield. So the World Economic Forum's green energy thing is really focused on Missouri right now. And not just Missouri, places where nations like China have a lot of land, water, and mineral rights and a lot of resources. And you have a lot of people and stakeholders with all over Missouri politics that have a vested interest in creating, a condition to where they have more workers, as we just covered in this thing, that are really close to their factories with childcare facilities to take care of their kids. So all of the parents can work at all hours of the day, and they need government housing, and they need government transportation to all this because, frankly, as they said, people just aren't capable of making these decisions themselves, and they need help from the government to make that happen. So, that's about all I have at this time.
I got a few things to say on that. It sounds like traditional government creating problems so they can create solutions so they come out looking like a hero.
Yes.
Definitely sounds like that. And what else was I going to say? Shoot. There's something else I was going to say. I'm trying to remember it. I didn't want to interrupt you earlier. Once I come across it, I'll bring it back up. But that's definitely what's going on. Oh, yeah. China is a communist, Marxist, capitalist country. A lot of people don't realize that. And what you see going through America right now is communism and Marxism, globalism. And I definitely highly believe China is in with these globalists 100%.
All right. So that was the presentation that we wanted everybody to see that we thought was important. Dottie, you want to speak on that a little bit for our viewers, and then we'll maybe bring up the presentation that you sent me earlier?
Yeah. To me, I don't know, because I'm just trying to take it all in because it's so much, right? Like, to me, this sounds like this guy, like, thank God for this guy, Isaac, because it's like he figured out, like, what they're going to start, how they're going to start putting this down on, laying it out for their little new world order plan. What I'm saying? That's what I was hearing just now, is that this is how they're going to start it. They're going to start it here, build those those lines, those roads. Well, I'm thinking, since it has to do with the batteries, that it's going to be like those tunnels that Elon Musk is building in California, because they use the Tesla, and that's all on
The
the
Tesla tunnels. We got some of those here in Vegas. They go from the convention center to the Resort World. That's what it is, Resort World.
Yeah. Well, so those are all ran on batteries, right? So I'm thinking that's going to be like the form of transportation, like the kind of highway they're going to build,
You know what I see when I see this? I see that these bastards pre-planned all this shit from because what caused all the freaking the supply chain shortages ultimately? The COVID lockdowns, obviously. All that shit, it threw it threw a wrench into freaking everything. And so now we have a situation where, and so why else would they be intentionally trying to destroy the dollar to make shit hard? So we are forced into a position where we can't do anything but rely on these bastards to have full control of all aspects of our lives. I don't think so.
no,
Not going to happen under my watch.
Like we cannot let this go through what they're planning on doing.
I mean, looks like what they're trying to do is the same shit that China's already doing. And I don't know about you, but I'm against anything that takes away our individual liberties and freedoms. I believe in the Constitution and what our country's forefathers put in place, and we have to fight for that. And if we don't, we're going to lose it.
Actually, I think it's about worse than you believe right now. I've seen a bigger picture.
Huh?
The picture's bigger than most anybody can imagine right now.
Oh yeah, way bigger. I mean, there's a lot more forethought behind it than most people even realize.
Since I was a child, I'm 45 years old, so there's about 40 years of planning on this.
Yep.
And destroy the like in Gary, Indiana, Michigan, all the rest of them still are destroy our foundries and steel plants to ship that's over to what is it, North Korea? Have our steel manufactured now, and well, that's not working. It's coming back broken. The heat treat on it's wrong. Everything's breaking. But the idea was global economics. But I think our environmentalists needs to be broke down as to how much damage they're causing.
They're causing. I mean, their solutions are going to be causing more damage in the long run to the environment than anything else. If you really think about it and you do the research, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but if you deprive us of our aquifers, we're going to be in big trouble here.
Yeah, we're going to be in deep doo doo.
We're already in deep doo doo. This is the
It
agriculture.
makes sense that they would start in, in like Missouri and this part of the country being the, dead center, and then, spider out both ways.
Yeah, that's how I would
You know,
expect it.
this is going to be trafficking too. Like our children are going to be trafficked through this little pipeline they got going here.
And let's
This
identify
isn't
the
just
part
going to be,
I think we can do that real simply.
yeah, that's a lot of that's going to be going on in this pipeline that they're trying to build.
That's what I'm talking about. We identify the main players, the United Economics Forum, which is
I mean, the World Economic Forum. Yeah. Well, we got a lot of them.
Cargill. You've got the headquarters of Walmart sitting right there, Arkansas. Springfield's where most of the money and the politicians in the country come to, because there's Branson, there's all the music and industry right there. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, that's the biggest problem we've got right there. They
Yep.
think they have all the money.
Yeah, that's true. And then, all the railroads that are involved in all this too. And there's the companies that are just red flags, that are on this list.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
Nestle's on that list.
Yeah, like that's a big red flag. That's what I'm talking
That's a
about.
huge red flag. Nestle chocolate? Like, no way.
Yeah,
Well,
there's several of them like that. And it's just like, okay. So
Makes you wonder what they're participating in, what they're planning, you know?
oh, they're planning on buying
Yeah,
it.
Nestle's in Ohio, and so is there's a Ultium battery plant in Ohio, and we had that train derailment in Ohio.
Oh, that's right.
And
yeah,
they
we
can
have
that
those all over.
contaminated our water here. That train derailment, and
That's right. That was like not too, that was like a little over a year ago.
well, it'll be a year in February 3rd
yeah,
or 4th.
February. That's right. Almost a year. Almost a year.
Yeah, almost. We're almost there. But there's a guy named James Roguski, and I put his link in the chat. He's very, very good. That chat, or I'm sorry, his Substack is excellent for what you are talking about with the World Economic Forum and the WHO. And he's all about exit the WHO, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with the World Economic Forum and
Oh, I like
those
what he's got
things.
here as his header image, claiming to have moral standards to which one's actions do not conform. Oh, that's the definition of the situation we have right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, he makes it very simple for you to get involved and let your voice be heard. Like he has everything laid out. All you have to do is just hop on there, fill it in, send it out into your representatives, everything. Like he's thought of everything.
Yeah,
And
no, I actually covered some of his exposing of the what was it, the pandemic treaty that they were trying to do
yes.
to get us to all listen to the freaking WHO on what we should do in our countries, like all that bullshit.
Yep, you're right. Yep.
So yeah, I actually did a live on that back in summer and a half ago.
Awesome. Yeah, he's and you call him and he talks to you. I mean, he's really approachable and shares his knowledge. I love him. He's great.
Yeah, I know he's one of the leaders in this fight. I think him along
absolutely.
with Dr. David Martin.
Oh yeah.
What was the other guy? Robert Malone.
Karen Kingston.
Yep, that one too. Many others.
Well, these people are getting ready to have a protest on Tuesday at the state capitol. And I, myself personally, I find this to be a very important event that people really need, Missourians need to step up and be there. and let them
Yeah,
know.
definitely. Well, we were up there in Jefferson City about a year and a half ago, weren't we?
Yeah, something like that.
Can we arrange more here to come?
Huh?
Well, because everything's centered here, and he's actually very correct, more than you know. Remember the killing of the steel foundries under the environmental protection from lead, right? Yet you're sitting on top of the lead mines.
Right.
Doesn't it
Yep.
seem a little ironic?
Yeah, it does. A little bit too convenient. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is we identify the key component individuals here, which is we know it's Bill Gates, it's Fauci,
Yep.
it's Norm Peterson. I know Norm Peterson personally. The headquarters for Walmart's is sitting there. That granddaughter lives right here in Columbia, Missouri. She runs the Lake of the Ozarks region.
Yeah,
My,
and when they go to hide, they're not going underground. They're going in mountains.
yeah, they are.
Underground
And
Pretty
mountains.
much.
my other
They're
friends
just
are,
built into the mountains half the time, most of their places.
well,
Filthy rich bastards.
most power players are right here with me. I know half of them. So we get enough people, we could probably turn them ideas for them real quick. Considering this Eric Nelson connects to the Department of Transportation as well.
Hmm.
Are your Switzerland mining company.
Man, these bastards, man, they've gone too far.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I have all your key players here, and I know half of them, so we can get halfway done. Shouldn't be too hard to deal that way.
This
That's an
is like,
idea.
to me, this is like the start of what they've been talking about, like what they've been, like people have been saying that's going to happen. This stuff's going to happen. Like these things passing and this going forward. That's that stuff. You know what I mean? Like
I'll tell you what they're
we
wanting to do.
cannot let it happen.
They want to mine out the United States by every country. That's exactly what they want. Because we're
Wow.
sitting, it's reserved right here, and they know it in South America. So where they're all getting depleted, they're requiring our resources pretty much. And this fresh water thing is very important.
Yeah,
Because,
without water, we can't survive.
Well, they want to like take our water and move it out of our state
well,
and
our
then
state,
pollute it on top of that. Like
well,
pollute our waterways. They want to dump all this stuff into our, in our rivers and streams and stuff.
that train derailments was an attack on the U.S., but your civil duty officers failed to engage because a FEMA agent was telling them it was training and drills. They only derailed in the agricultural section of our country. That's where all the reports and commodities come out of. Now, because of the lower growth rate of crop production, president's going to be required to call to declare action of war and kill off so many people because we're not going to be able to feed them. That's what really happens.
Man.
And the other key player I have is Patricia Chavoski, last name Braden, Orchland's family member here. These are the same people that's causing all this problem. These are the same people that funded Antifa, anti-family, gay rights.
Well, the train company that's connected to the border crisis is like a stockholder in some of this stuff, I believe is what they were saying. So
yeah.
you have that playing all into it. So the train companies are a big part of this, huge part of all of it.
Uh-huh. And when you realize how Walmart business, they rent out warehouse space. That's how they do it.
What do you suggest we do to protect that water supply and things? I mean,
Anything
you
possible.
should have a say.
Anything at all possible, because if my data is correct, we deplete that back pressure of that water from the sandstones down there in down by Cape Girardeau, will collapse the fault line right there, and the other fault line sitting on the Kansas City side. That's what the Clintons was talking about, the middle of the U.S. falling underneath sea level.
Hmm.
That's what I'm getting at.
That would be a very tricky operation, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Scott said that there's something about the world water supply that they've already mapped out, like the whole world's water supply.
They tracked it. If you go to home or go to what is it, TV?
That's crazy, dude.
No, what was it?
They got everything tracked.
The History
Yeah,
Channel.
it makes
Go to the
sense.
History Channel. On the History Channel, they show it going by boat, airplane, by trucks, people walking, whatever, carrying a camel.
Damn.
And it actually, they zoom out and they show the pattern of it circumferring the world.
Hmm. And what you'll
That's
notice,
great.
you'll notice through the Department of Defense, what is ARCGIS, ArcGIS, which is
Yeah, Argus. I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
okay, it's ArcGSI as well, which is Global Alliances New York.
Huh.
Eric Nelson is the president of it. He's otherwise named as Eric Niemeyer, St. Louis. And then they connect over to Monsanto, South
Of
American.
course they do. Of course they connect to Monsanto. It wouldn't be complete unless they connected to Monsanto, would it?
Nope, not unless you got the name Continental and ConAgra. Same companies, same people.
Sorry, say that one more time.
Continental and ConAgra.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you guys, we have had some big major companies. We got Boeing here. I mean,
You got my friends McDonald Douglas and McDonald Dowell.
yeah, and we had Ford was here, like Chrysler. We had all those car companies here. Like we've had some major players in all this stuff because this stuff goes back years.
Oh, you got major players, movie stars, everything here. Artists like down South Missouri here is nothing but Hollywood. And then all the way to Nashville, Tennessee is pretty much her.
And then we have the Veil Prophet, which is their secret society. Like all these people are involved in that for sure.
Right. Well, I know with one of the things I was shown and got access to, because I'm connected to a presidential team, is what it is why I get so much intel. But on the same point, the business license, y'all may want to write this down. Obama was 4%, Trump was 3%, Biden was 3%, Jamie Gray, Grey or AY, South Missouri, Cape Girardeau area, was 96% ownership of the United States Incorporated.
Oh wow.
I told you I'm sitting here with a business license of the United States Corporation because that's what we got to file against.
I can look that up on Intellius, dude. It'll tell me.
That would
Like
be
it told me earlier, the national security, the woman that runs it, it's ran by the first woman ever, which means we're about to get the first woman president, guys. Just so you know, just like they wouldn't do that just out of fucking like.
Well, they're
Oh
gonna
wow,
try. I know that, but I don't even
no.
know if that's. I mean, I just know that freaking we can't have tyranny. That's what I know.
Well, it all comes down to that LGBTQ thing through the Department of Justice. Now, DOJ is screwed up. And I asked for the bonds and everything for the Department of Justice, but the Security Exchange Commission refuses to hand them over. The reason I asked for it, because one, those are to be paid out to the damaged individuals here.
Yeah. No, that Ali, briefly talk about the QSIP thing that you wanted to touch on earlier because that's important.
That's actually.
Oh yeah. So Roger Hilligus and Stuart Handy's case out of Nevada. There's a QSIP file for, I guess, all of us. I guess they're putting these court cases on the stock market.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
But we think they're doing it through the QSIP, CUSIP.
Yeah, they are.
They do that for sure.
But it's linked to the court case somehow because it has this criminal court case number on there.
Yeah. We shared it on the live we did on Christmas Eve, I believe.
Yeah. So so I'm just trying to think, like, in my opinion, but we have to do the research on the money flow.
Yeah.
But it looks like, and I'm just guessing. But so they have these tax dollars. So for all these hearings, they always have all these hearings. Nothing happens. They keep on. It's the dumbest hearings I've ever seen in my life. They accomplish nothing. They look at no evidence, and then they just reschedule more hearings. I mean, this is what, 4 years of hearings. Nothing's been accomplished. So every time they have these hearings, they get paid. Some kind of tax dollars come from somewhere, right? Someone's getting paid. And so are those tax dollars going into the stock market every time? And then at the end, what they want is us to kill ourselves or die somehow, because of the stress and everything. And it's like a game for them, or it's like entertainment for them. and then they collect on it.
For energy.
They collect all that money.
That's a fact. She's correct. Because that we talk about the life insurance policy held by Fidelis is who it is,
Mhm.
and that's what the biggest issue is.
Mhm.
They took out a life insurance policy upon you all.
Mhm. I've
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
heard that too. Yeah.
Your patient account information, converted them to bonds in the stock exchange by the hospitals, commercial, and that's where the bond money came from. But it's found in the school board, and the money's actually being found in the school. I found 445 million last year, 660 million
Well,
this year.
that's interesting because I cover some of the school board corruption out here in Vegas, and we've been seeing some what seems to be good indicators of racketeering of the federal funding.
Oh, more than that, because these are also Title IV. Angela, I'm getting ready to send you a document. And what I'm sending you is the Children, Youth, and Family Department purchase order drawer 5160, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Okay. This is your Title IV funding through the state Supreme Court. All these court services you keep talking about.
Oh, see, that's going to be. We need to bring that up on the screen, Dottie.
Yeah. I was gonna bring something up too.
But you can go for it. Your
St.
screen
Louis
share is enabled.
record. Well, I'm just gonna. I can bring it up on the screen, or it doesn't matter. But the St. Louis Record in July, they did a story about all this waterway and stuff with the task force, and they were part of the school system. Like they do part of the school system too. So that's how they're gonna wrap it all around. And pull our kids into it. They're gonna traffic our kids.
Well, they're already doing that. I mean, and they're only going to do more if we don't put a stop to this.
You're right, but when we put a stop to it, it stops urban housing and development. So that's their power card.
Yeah, they're doing it through real estate.
Yep, real estate and agriculture.
Yep.
But this is at
Ain't,
one point.
ain't that a son of a bitch, man? Them
And
bastards, man.
Yeah.
And they're also funding, in my strong opinion, they're using our elderly to fund their sick global agenda because it's nothing but theft all throughout the probate court and family court. And for example, it's the bar colluding with the global corporations and our infiltrated government. So, like, for example, my mother just died, okay? And her guardian, thank you, her guardian bought he got a court order for $5,000 pre-need burial insurance. But then when my mother died, he's like, oh, the money wasn't there. I didn't get it. He's a liar. I mean, and even the funeral home director was like, I don't know who the beneficiary was, but he's like, it could have been him. And I'm like, yeah. So I need to do a FOIA on this Miller Trust where they hide money to spend down her, like it was her monthly income was too much. So they had to hide it in this Miller Trust to make her qualify for Medicaid. Where's all that money going? He's allowed to take that money out without any oversight. So it's just sick.
Where we're finding like Thompson Group over New Minnesota is one of these groups funding social services as attorneys. Attorneys actually empowered by the family is who they're empowered under, which is where these trusts keep coming in as well. That's why they're stacking them in the schools. Our banks will tell you anything over $10,000, they're going to pull you over, arrest you.
You need a special power of attorney to be a payee.
Mm-hmm.
For your QSIP?
Well, you need to be a security agent, basically.
We talked about the QSIP one time, and they said we were told that you have to do Form 56 and then 2848. Something about you have to change your power of attorney to yourself because they have it's all capital person or whatever that's representing you, but then it's really them. I don't know. And then also identity theft because they're posing as us and they're not us, obviously.
You're correct.
What's me? Hey, this is Scott. Listen, it's called a special power of attorney. and it's really quick and easy. You can get them drawn up pretty much online, or you can go to a lawyer and pay them. I think it's maybe now $50. Used to be $20 for the letter, but anyways, you sign it, she signs it, and then you become what's called her general payee. That means that she is still control her funds, but anything that's spent, done, or told or signed in her name or whatever still has to be approved by you. You get what I'm saying?
That's
Yeah,
the account.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So yeah, it's called a specialized power of attorney.
I didn't know how to explain it. He can explain it.
I think he did a damn good job, but he's actually very, and this is about taking back control of that surveillance policy.
Yeah.
That's like my people in the banking industry. That's how they obtained the bank, was took control of the Fidelis policy, a life insurance bond on you all.
Oh man.
Now, that changes
Yep.
you from going in to ask for credit to you are your credit.
Yeah, our sweat and blood and our labor.
Pretty much.
That's where all this is. All our all the that's what really goes into and that's what they're taking.
Yes.
That's what really where they draw the power from it, and and the money is from our sweat, blood, and labor.
Our grief, our tears, yes, loss of our families.
Yep.
That's every bit of it. You are so right. Now, one of the biggest things about the bank industry, I know we've got banking financial people here helping us, including investment companies. Because part of my friends being Edwards and Jones, this is Edwards that attacked my kids. My friends are Joneses and Fisher's Investments and the rest of them. Like I said, it took a power on power, and the Corps of Engineers from Lake of the Ozarks hit power against Mark Twain Lake's Corps of Engineers. They're just not liking the power to power play. But like I said, if we can get this together, and a lot of it's right here in Missouri, we can shut this down right here too.
Well, we
Well,
need to
it's
shut it down.
starting, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
we need to.
It sounds like it's starting here because if they get the rights to our water and start doing the stuff here first, because people need to start checking into their cities. Like this guy,
Exactly.
fighting all this. So people really need to start checking in their own cities and seeing like where their city's at in this plan. Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
same plan.
Yeah. If you're out there and you think that it's too small, I mean, because it's in just their state, not yours. Like
No,
I'm in
this
New
is gonna
York, but
happen
it
all
still
across
matters
the
because it's going to come here if it starts there.
That's
Well,
right.
they're starting it in Missouri, and that's like the center of the country, and so they're gonna. I'm assuming they're gonna spider web it all out throughout the
Yeah,
rest.
that's what I was saying. It
Yeah.
makes sense to start here in the middle
Now,
and work your way out, both sides, east and west, especially if you're coming from, say, another country or something. You come here, you have people that you're trafficking and you want to put them east coast and west coast, you're going to go in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
right? It makes sense.
You're absolutely right.
To me. So yeah, it makes sense for them to start here and then go both ways.
well, we have more military bases in the state of Missouri, and our National Defense Titan rockets right here.
What is
Oh,
that
yeah.
Ozark show like that? I don't know, like how they have to tell us the truth. Maybe that show has some truth to it that we don't know about.
Well, I've seen a lot of parallels from the Ozark show
Oh,
with
the Ozark
with just this coverage that I've been doing on your case and several others, Angie. I mean, it's eerily similar.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Well, I do know they're accessing your computers using what they call Phoenix or Starfire program, which used to run through the big universities and everything else, because we were part of the program.
Mhm.
Now, I know when they fired off the train rockets, the 16,000 satellite trains, it was off the coast of Africa. That's the ambassador for United Nations. Now, here's the problem. They didn't want y'all to see the unfolding of them train lines up there above your heads. Now, the other thing you need to definitely know is this: pesticide poisoning tied to Monsanto GMO DNA spiced corn. The antidote is atropine.
Is what?
Atropine.
Atropine?
Atropine.
Got it.
And as far as you all in Ohio, that was the two chemicals, vinyl chloride and ethyl, in that train, which was mustard gas.
Yeah, I heard that.
And they burned it for maximum coverage. So I don't know what the mustard gas. It's a systematic sensory situation. So I mean, we're going to talk childbirths and everything else. They were trying to disable your kids.
What are the side effects from that? Because I mean, I got really sick that day and I lost like 25 pounds and I've not been right. I mean, I feel good, but it's just weird that
It's a,
lost that much weight and stuff.
it's a nervous system agent and reaction agent. So if it's in your system, they have agents to react it to. They didn't poison you for no reason. They want your all's lands up there.
Mm-hmm.
Think they can be it real cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, of course I will, Dottie. Let me get to it.
But that's the biggest thing. This is all about property and how you can get it cheap. Eminent domains of towns. Towns are supposed to represent people, not itself. But I've been dealing with the treasuries in states and counties. Like those are all tax treasuries, is what they're called. And so I keep asking the investigators, how many dollars are used for these people and how many dollars used against these people? I keep getting investigations about treasuries going because they're not supposed to be used against you. They're supposed to be used for your benefit. And that's like the investigator said, you are 100% correct. And you're right. They're using them against these people.
All right, we're gonna hear about this rally in Jefferson City 2 days from now.
Awesome.
Get a quick rundown of this before we got into questions.
I was going to say, Isaac, that was some stellar information.
Yes, it is. It's killer.
That is groundbreaking. That is really groundbreaking.
No, thanks.
It's absolutely
Good job, man.
stunning information.
Okay. All right, Catherine, I'm going to turn the floor over to you for a few minutes. Let's hear all about the rally. And Catherine is the gal to talk to about the rally, by the way.
I didn't mean to jump over Isaac there. If you want to do questions. Yes, we had our Zoom call yesterday with the I guess our coordinators of this, and we're calling it a protest. If you want to be nice and call it a rally, you can, but I'm calling it a protest because that's what it is. So we'll begin 11 a.m. on the second floor of the Capitol outside of Eigel's office. We'll have, we're going to be handing out small cards. Bev Allen is printing just some little like 3x5 kinds of cards that will have a list of all the Senate and House members of the Missouri Freedom Caucus so that everybody knows who they are. I believe on the back side, she's going to put all the senators who stood there with the Senate leadership as they were removing Freedom Caucus members from their committees and their parking spots. So kind of the order of the day is Jody Oldham is going to welcome everybody. We'll have prayer. We're going to read a proclamation, and it's essentially just going to state kind of all of our grievances against Caleb Rowden and Cindy O'Laughlin, and call for their resignations from leadership and call for the reinstatement of Missouri Freedom Caucus members back to their chairmanships and their parking spaces.
And all committee positions. Like Danny
Yes,
got
all
taken.
committee
Yeah.
positions.
Yep. There you go.
Yes. A number of the Missouri Freedom Caucus members are planning to be there and speak. So that's the part that may end up taking longer than we anticipate. We know Eigel is offered to speak, Bratton, Hoskins. I don't remember who else. I know Representative Justin Sparks is going to speak on behalf of the House Missouri Freedom Caucus. So we're giving them like 2 to 3 minutes, and they'll probably take 5, right? So that's kind of the part that could take a little bit longer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move up to the 3rd floor, like en masse, and occupy the galley up there.
Occupy, I like that.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll have signs. If they do go into the Senate chamber, we are going to go into the upper gallery. Can't bring signs into there. And of course, a lot of this is kind of like we don't know the schedule for Tuesday until Monday. So we've got to be as flexible as possible. But that's kind of the plan as of right now. Is we want to not only support the Missouri Freedom Caucus, but also, declare that we want Rowden and O'Loughlin removed from, to resign from their leadership positions. And we're also going to mention, I think, I probably lost count. There's at least 7 that I know of Republican central committees, county central committees that have released their own statements saying that they are also calling, that they support the Missouri Freedom Caucus and are calling for the resignations of Rowden and O'Loughlin from leadership. And that in and of itself represents tens of thousands of Republicans across the state of Missouri.
Including Rowden's own county.
Right?
Yep.
They're like,
Boone
oops,
County.
that wasn't supposed to be public.
Actually, I think Rodens County backed out yesterday.
Yeah, they rescinded that. They rescinded that letter.
Yeah, they tried to retract it, saying it wasn't meant to be public, but they still wrote it. So
They still wrote it. I have a screenshot of it.
yeah, I have it. We have
Just
it.
let me know. I'll be right back here in about 5 minutes.
Anyway, that's kind of the order of the day. We'll also hand out an agenda to people as they arrive. So they because it's going to be loud, we'll have a loudspeaker. We don't know how well people will be able to hear. So we'll also kind of hand out an agenda so people know, okay, we're going to go here. And then after this happens, we're going up to the 3rd floor, where Rowden and O'Loughlin's offices are. So that's kind of the plan from what I can tell. I mean, I'm expecting at least 100, if not more, that will be there. I mean, we've got carpools going, so caravans. Hopefully it will be a huge turnout.
Yep. We were expecting between 50 and 60 for Knock and Shock, so we'll be there as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yep, you betcha.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good day to have it. Knock and Shock. And everyone planned for it. They took the day off of work for it, so it is a brilliant day to have it.
Yep.
And also, the guys, I can't stress to you, if you have to choose between the rally and Knock and Shock, the rally's more important. Now, Knock and Shock is near and dear to my heart because
you hear that? The rally's more important, folks. Go to that.
Silver and gold.
That was about it, right, Dottie?
Mhm.
Or was there more?
No, they just talk about what he does because he's going to be there at like 9 or something. They're doing something, whatever that rocking shock or whatever I don't know exactly what it is. That's something at 9 o'clock he's doing, and
Okay.
then that rally's at 11.
Okay.
And I think people should show up.
They should show up. They need to.
Yeah, they're asking for people to show up. They want people to show up to this, and I think parents should show up and represent what the family court's been doing to the Missouri families.
Yeah, they should definitely, because this is all interconnected, folks. It's not just isolated incidents. This is all
This is all
grand
connected.
design. As crazy as it may sound, when you start looking at the evidence, that's the only conclusion you really can come to.
Well, I mean, thank God for this Isaac. Like, he explains it so well. He lays it out so well. You can see what they're doing. What they're what do they call us? Conspiracy. What do they call us?
Useless eaters, conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. What was that word? I don't even know what that is. Right. I'm sure we've heard the story about what this guy just laid out already. Somebody's told it. I'm sure I've heard it. I know he explains it. He lays it out really well.
Huh?
He lays it out really well.
He does. He does.
And how they're going to do it. And then you're going to get in those smart cities, and they're going to take your children. Your children will be gone, dude. Like, you won't even have no rights to them. It'd be what, 20, 30, and you'll own nothing and like it.
Hey, Angela, grab your messages from Facebook.
Okay.
I sent you a document you'll want.
All right.
Yeah, and bring it up, share it on the screen, Dottie, will you?
My big,
Is it on my Facebook?
Yeah, your Facebook.
yes. Now, my biggest thing here is your pharmacists know counter agents, chemicals. If you need to know, go ask a pharmacist. Because a
Well,
pharmacist,
yeah, that's pretty much that's pharmaceuticals is
yeah,
chemist, chemical pills. Basically, they're putting together freaking different stuff in pills. It's basically
Yeah.
chemical based.
Yeah, and we'll see with Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, most of your presidents came out of this area. So you got a lot of Secret Service agents here.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So they're trained as a doctor pharmacist to know counter response teams and everything else. You don't have time to get the president to a hospital. You are the doctor.
Huh. I didn't know
That's-
that.
Well, that's most people don't, but it's just the idea of you've got to be that highly trained. But that's North Carolina Chemical Response Teams as well.
Okay.
So FBI, CIA, they all have colleges. If you know, like Quantico is an FBI college.
Well, that one I knew about, but
Right. But that's what they don't really put out there too often. But if you know a national security agent like I do, or like they told me as a kid, you're getting ready to, when you get older, you got to fight back for your country to take it back because it's been taken over. And the only authority you have to answer to is the president and the president only. Well, come to look at, the director of the Department of Defense is my family.
oh, really?
So they don't like us to know that information.
Yeah, well, I would imagine not.
So
Then that takes away from their power.
Well, I had to be woke up. So my biggest thing was the Agent Grooms, CIA, had to wake me. I don't realize until I got woke. But
Did y'all see that background check in the chat?
Yeah, I got it. Jessica will bring it up here next.
Oh, okay. No, I was just like making sure you got it. Like you
Oh,
guys
yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Jessica, is that who's censoring us? Is that what you said? The
Yes,
national
if you
security?
Yes, if you watch the Cousins Brothers documentary, it talks about like the scientists and how they've been suppressing the scientists the exact same ways, getting into their computers, blocking each other from each other's accounts, trying to cause them to stop speaking to each other or trying to cause problems. And like when they're trying to get the word out to the media, things like that. They've been doing the exact same things to them as they've been doing to the parents for 400
no,
years.
the same tactics we've seen with this interference we get a lot of the time when we're trying to do a meeting or live, and we got this unexplained freaking shit going on where people are all up in your guys' shit. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Like GameStop.
Yeah, that's national security.
Oh, I'm not
They think
surprised.
that they've got the right to just suppress the hell out of all of us. So
Yeah, well,
I just
we
wanted
call them
y'all
out.
to know.
I think it's funny whenever we call them out, they tend to stop, isn't it?
So, Gene, what is this paper here?
Can you read it?
I can see it, yeah.
Okay, it's your New Mexico ransom effect of the family to the courts. That's your state, known as the E-state of the family, coming to steal your money. Because in
Administration Office of the Courts, Supreme Court Building.
Here, let me explain to you. In a murder trial, okay, they convict the individual, right? Well, if that was the attorney, in fact, for the family or any interest to the family, then they would have received a $5 million wrongful death check from the prosecutor. Well, he didn't do that. He took that $5 million and filed for himself. So the conviction proves he is the acting attorney upon the case. Now, the state and him just stole your money. All your IRAs, all your investments, everything from the old businesses, that's your Social Security again. That's the state stealing everything you've ever had and everything meant to go to your family. They don't represent these people.
Wow.
But a murder case shows you that case explicitly. Because nobody's ever got anything back from the police or any payments for wrongful anything else, even theft. They don't represent you, they represent the insurance company, in fact.
Yeah, well, obviously they don't represent us. I mean, they're not. They've long since sold out, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen.
Right. Well, with Tammy Winkle's case, what we identified was Farmers Insurance. Now, we'll bet it's Farmers Insurance most everywhere we run across this because that's connected to the Department of Agriculture. But what I did was I got Overtop Farmers Insurance and found the investment company and investors Overtop Farmers Insurance. And that's over in Switzerland, Zurich, the company. So I notified that they got a false claim of domestic terrorists getting ready to occur in Oklahoma City again.
Oh, geez.
Same situation as Timothy McVeigh. They took his kids by social services, and that's where it all begins. Because they're intended, if they take your kids, they're planning to make you the terrorist. And that's
Well, yeah, that's what we see them doing. We see them trying to smear parents as crazy and this and that and all sorts of stuff.
Yep, and military vets and everything else.
Yep.
I mean, their whole idea. Well, the government's afraid of. Well, they train the soldiers. What are they going to do when they come home? They'll kill you. Not really, but they think so. They're afraid of their own design.
All I know is these traders that have sold us out need to freaking pay for what they've done.
Well, that's why I say, did you remember the airport evacuation?
Which one?
Gaza and all the rest of them. Or wherever the last airport evacuation occurred and they left everything behind.
Vaguely, I recall something about that, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, think about it. We were guarding foreign securities and assets, right? There's only one reason the military will vacate a foreign asset, and that's when it's under attack at home. They were told to bug out and get home. They're here. They're on.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not that I have no doubt. I mean, we're a captured nation.
No.
That's what it looks like to me.
That was to get your soldiers home.
Okay.
The point is, we're under attack in the U.S. and they.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. We're actively under attack. Absolutely, I see that every day.
Well, your politicians love this fact because if our soldiers, which are converted to copyrights and made properties of the U.S. or overseas, and they tear shit up, it's billed back to the commercial farmer, which is the president. But when they're at home and they tear shit up, it's billed back to the president. So think about it. Where do you not want your army to be except on your home ground? That's why we got them called home. Kind of creates a stand down situation because you can't deploy. They're here.
Yeah, that makes sense if you think about it. If they're all here, but then again, well, how do we? I mean, man, how do we get ourselves out of this mess? Is what I want to know.
Well, most of these boys are homeless right now. You help them, they'll help you. And that's just the real story right there.
No, it's true. I see it all the time.
Yeah, it's about us helping each other.
Well, it said back in the newspaper articles there has to be a want for national security or they can't have national security. So if the people don't want national security, they can't have it.
Right, but you can't let them overrun your borders either.
Right.
I mean, honest to God, what happens is the foreigners come over during the crop harvest season to pick your crops so we can get a discount price. And we send them home because we hired them for less. But they want to build walls and stop that influx and outflux of money right there. They're just dividing the issues, all they're really doing. And they're raising our costs in the ultimate outcome here.
Well, it seems like that's all these politicians do these days is drive division between us and keep us distracted and using our tax dollars to freaking do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why if we don't fight each other, we'll have a revolution and not a civil war.
That's why the Senate Financial Committee is so important in this situation. Like I told them, if we can stop the funding, we stop the problem.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Like they said, we agree. And we are the oversight to the Treasury. So it's being funded through the Treasury. So we got to stop them payments.
Well,
our borders.
I mean, as far as I know, we've been funded by the Federal Reserve for a long ass time, which is not even a freaking federal organization. It's a freaking privatized banking cartel, which is what needs to. I think that fiat currency is what needs to collapse because that's where all that black money's going through, that dark money.
It is.
Yeah.
It is
I
black money.
Collapse that yet. Remember that national debt clock is sitting up there. That's what they owe you.
Yeah.
Now, an investment of the property and the finances is what's important because that's what's taken from the employer. That's your investment into the country. Is that Treasury. Now I take you into the role of master employer of the Treasury because it's our collective fund, which pays all of our employees, in fact, including that president as an employee. So let's think about this. We take our role as what we are, the master employer over all employers, over all employees. Let's go grab a Department of Labor and stop this.
Because they can't harm the beneficiary.
How do we get them to cooperate? That's my question because I don't see any of these government-run agencies doing anything in our favor anymore. I don't trust any one of them, not one single one of them. Not the FBI, not the CIA, not the DOD, not the DOJ, not the DIA, not one single fucking one of them. I don't trust any of you bastards. And if you think that you got us all hook, line, and sinker with this whole Dave Grush bullshit, think again. Sorry, that's a little UFO tangent I went off on there, but I think that's a whole op in and of itself.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about Area 51 or the rest of the information, but
But
as a
there's so
side,
much bullshit going on. I mean, I don't trust not one single person in government at this point, to be honest.
but we've got to trust somebody. So let's trust our
Me
military.
either. No, no,
But
no.
we trust one another.
They all crooked.
Us,
We
man.
need to trust each other, man.
Well, yeah, I'm agreeing
Each
with
other.
you, but you still need the firepower.
Well, our vets, yeah, of course. I mean, my uncle was a vet, my dad was a
Americans
vet.
have a lot of guns, you know. Like
Yeah, where we
we
put our
have
next.
firepower. A lot of us have firepower.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is nobody's supporting our vets. These boys went over
No,
there walking away from their families to
and they
die.
got done wrong. They fought wars that were fake and lies and manipulation and a game, and they
Right.
gave their lives to that.
But we all fell for that same thing.
Well, I know we all fell for it, but it's sick,
It is sick.
you know.
It's so sick what these bastards have done.
They messed them up. They're messing our children up. Yeah, it's
Yep.
sick. They're sadists.
But think about it. If fathers are going to come home to protect their kids now, think about this. If from their own government, I mean, that'd be the stand I have to stand.
That would be the stand of all stands right there. And I would encourage every vet out there that's
And
seeing
we all
this
have to agree
to
upon
rise up.
revolution.
Let's
And
get
not
this shit over with.
because they
Let's
want
put an end to this
support.
corruption because this is bullshit. I'm calling it. It's bullshit. Are we going to
It's
stand by and do
biased.
nothing?
Well, I stand by this. Under national
It's
security
fighting
policy,
mine.
we don't house nor arrest terrorists nor kidnappers. We kill them. We do that for a reason because we should not have to fit the bill for these people. Now,
No, we
Mr. President,
shouldn't.
being the first family, and its attack of the United States citizens' families, in fact, depletes his power and also converts all power back to the original owners, which is the living families.
Yep. The people.
Failure of office for pay of duty, and failure of duty now becomes treason.
Yeah.
That's
Treason. 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 You hear that? All you bastards out there complicit in this treason.
That's exactly correct. I mean, you're abusing these people. I mean, these are who you're supposed to be protecting. That's what your bonds are about. I mean, if you can't figure out to protect these people as your main job and priority, then I don't know what the hell to tell these idiots. You are a foreign line under foreign documents, and you are in treason.
But our
Just,
government's come against us, so we have to protect ourselves.
well, they lose.
From them.
Exactly.
That's the battle. Like we have to come together
Mm-hmm.
and protect ourselves from the government and not give them their civil war.
Well, they're more about helping everybody but us.
Oh, of course they are. I mean, that much is obvious. Look at where all our freaking tax dollars are going.
Yep. See,
Yeah,
that's
most
what
Americans, you know how many people are sleeping in their cars? It's sad.
ridiculous.
And yeah, that there's so many people have been reduced to sleeping in their cars because they can't afford to live anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's
And
just
we've begged them and we've pleaded with them. We've talked to every government agency out there. So they can't say they are unaware.
that's correct.
And when they keep ignoring the people, what does that make? It makes them complicit.
Yes, it does.
And they're getting ready to roll out a 15-minute city on our asses if we don't do something.
Now, here we are sitting here trying to freaking call this issue out and remedy it, but they're just ignoring it like it doesn't exist because they want to push out this
Monday or
freaking agenda.
Tuesday, Jefferson City. That's important. That's an important event. People need to be at that one. Like
Actually,
that's something to be at.
you know, that is the battleground state in the country. In fact, between the North and the South, East and the West, that is the gateway arch.
Yeah.
It is the frontier to the West.
Yeah.
So if we stop it here, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
And I have several
It sounds like this is where they're going to start it. Well, I know the whole Black Lives Matter that happened here in Ferguson, Missouri, which is, right down the road from my house, like, 10, 15 minutes away. They did that to that city to start putting in smart cities. They had them destroy their own city. So they, and they started all that whole thing to divide.
Well, actually, let me help you understand who and what they were. They're contracted with the state is who they are as contractors.
Right, and Soros, and he brought people in to start that shit, to divide the people and keep them, black against white, whatever. You know what I mean? When
well, remember that part about
all paid for.
President being the commercial farmer here, and the military soldiers now being made property by copyright. That Black Lives Matters, same thing. They're not accountable to criminal charges because they are an employee under employment. of state, basically. Therefore, all billing must go back to the commercial farmer, which is the president or the governor.
It's all the governors.
Again,
There's still so
treason.
much racism, though.
It's the governors. They took one part out of I don't know which verse in the
Right.
Bible, but one of the verses, and it said that we would have to fight the evil or something of the governors, and they took that part out.
That's
Really?
I don't know if anybody knows what Bible verse I'm referring to, because I don't know the Bible quite like that, but I do know that they took this part out of the Bible, and they said we would be fighting the governors. So, and I know Parson's dirty. Where are those kids, Parson?
Do you want me to bring up that PDF you sent me earlier, Dottie? That presentation?
It was just his bills about the kids.
Maybe you want to put some in context behind it for our viewers.
Was that for the 24 and 2600?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how he started all this off. We've been chasing the damn track trains after the kids.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up on the screen share, and then I'll let you explain it for our viewers, Dottie.
Well, this is the first story. This is about the waterways and his task force guy.
This one? Okay, so the other one that I need to bring up. Hold on.
It's underneath it. It's just the bills that he passed. When or two ago?
Huh?
I'm asking Gene what year it was that he signed those. Was it 21 or 22?
I went to prison in 2017 illegally placed there because of a firearm that was not used against nobody. So probably 2019, 2017.
1920. I don't know.
That's how he was planning to kick us all off.
You know that, but the national
No, I
security
think the kids come
because I
those
just shared
2000
this
kids
shit. She
started
probably
coming up
knows
between
because like
2019,
they
and I
knew when
think
I
this
was
bill was passed
so you know she
in
knows I just
22 or 23.
Right.
I want to say maybe 22.
Well, they're also tied to the Nuclear Regulatory Committee. So I keep telling you, your nuclear factory is going to blow up if we don't get something done.
So, but he's giving money to people to foster these kids and then adopt them. So he's giving them incentives in these bills. Like, if you can do this, if you foster a kid and then adopt it out, you can get this big tax credit. And I don't know, it's sick.
What it is, he owns the adoption companies. And
Yeah.
He does own an adoption agent or company. Yes, he does.
Now, what he's doing is he's promoting his own business by the use of government. That's illegal.
Yeah.
Program, and then there's a BUDS program, which pays for the court. One pays for the court, one pays for the attorneys to adopt children. Now, because he took it all out of the taxpayers' money. Now, don't this seem a little odd?
Yeah,
There's
very odd.
Parents, and they're being extorted money out.
Okay, so it says there was 13,970 children that are in the foster care system. Why in the world is that many kids? Like, there's not that many abusers. Come on.
How many prisons do we have? 26 prisons. 26. We have just almost the equal number of military camps as well.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's what people don't realize. The worst thing about Missouri is I'm sitting in the middle of the trunk itself of the internet pipeline. It actually runs Cheyenne Mountain, National, all the way to Washington. Well, it also started there in Silicon Valley.
I'm not surprised there.
Well, that's why I gave you that password. Have a little fun, bud.
I'm going to look into that. That'd be interesting.
It is not tracked at all. That's what all FBI agents and attorneys are given to go in there and look. And there's no security on that side of the PHP or PPP protocol language. That means everything is open to you. And it goes right through the nose directly to the trunk line itself. It's like a master key, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, now you'll be able to see registry databases and everything else. You'll actually see what the data mining cryptocurrency was about, was investigating into people by going in there. Okay, servers, what they do, they fills up a drive, then they'll compress the image down and put it on a small section of the hard drive again. And then they'll build a pyramid just like that. That's your data and information under compression for your
Yeah,
server.
that's how compression works. Yeah.
Yep.
Like it
Well,
says, the bill will incentivize more families to consider being foster families, right? So, we'll pay you to want to steal people's kids and keep, because that's their biggest business they got going.
yeah, it is. It's always been, because here's the other kicker with that. If the government is paying you, you're under the authority of the government. And it becomes a regulatory committee. Now, they're paying it out of our people's money. That's weird. But regardless, when they passed this World Who crap, they kept coming in here with a mask. We own a restaurant here in Centralia, and the Department of Health came in here, wanted to tell us what we had to do, and they canceled the school, high school graduation dance, everything else. So we're like, well, we just bought this building. We just came in town, so let's go ahead and we're going to host the damn dance too, which was no problem. Community Health wanted to come in here and tell us what to do. We told him that your authority don't end in our doorway. Your authority ended on your property line. Now you better get back to your business. Later he came back. Well, will you please mask them? No, sir, I will not. That ruins the idea of every kind of tradition we have.
Good for you. Good for you. Masking is a symbol of slavery, in my view.
It was like putting a muzzle on a dog telling him to shut the
Mhm.
fuck up. All tied to the Me Too movement. It gained a platform. They didn't like it because these are senators' kids, cops' kids, everybody else's kids have been killing, raping, and murdering you all. It's their kids. They're protecting their kids while sending us to prison for their kids' crimes. Okay. Remember the Pizzagate thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got a white screen, you got smoke, you got colored lights flashing, and then you got a small narrative underneath there. We didn't have to put that it was a pedophile situation. We could have put it on there, a child kidnapper or a child murderer. Now, what happened was their psychology came to the front row to tell on themselves, is what happened. That's
Oh
how
yeah.
we use the psychology of it, of what's in your mind to identify who you are.
Yep. That's how it works. You could do it that way. Yeah, I could totally see that happening. Yep.
Well, that's what it revealed, because look at them. They're all coming forward being, I'm protected. No, you're not. You are one.
Right.
Blaming it on the parents of what's in their mind. It's time for these parents to play that card backwards. It is not of my crime, but because it's in your mind and you are the whatever family services officer, doesn't matter who you are. You're playing your crimes upon me. I am innocent of your
Well, what
crime.
do all narcissists do? They project, right?
Yep. Just like a cheater in a relationship, he'll blame the non-cheater every time. It's the identical situation.
Yep.
The remedy is the same.
It's funny. It's funny that you should bring that up. I had that same scenario with my ex. She always accused me of cheating. I'm the most loyal person on the planet you'll ever meet. But didn't stop her from freaking accusing me.
Well, no, because in their mind, they're afraid we'll always find out or we'll get even. See,
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's their own fear of what they are guilty of.
Yep, that's how they tell on themselves. See, I don't cheat on people. I don't do none of that, because if I'm not gonna waste their time, point blank.
Right.
I'm in it to win it.
Loyalty is everything, man.
That's it. And honor before dishonor. That's for darn sure. But if I can't be loyal to my person, what could I be loyal to? Because I also have to be loyal to me.
The one who falls in dishonor first loses.
There you go.
They're not even loyal like to the government. Like they'll lie to this. Like you said, the states are lying to the government, saying these people, these children need to be taken out of these dangerous situations. We need to take them, protect them, and they're lying to our own the federal side of our government, saying that they need that money to do that. But then they're not even protecting the kids at all.
No, of course not.
That's
and the fact that the federal agencies aren't doing anything either tells me that they're complicit as well.
Yeah, and they're performing major discriminations and biases. There's an article from 1920 that says that they're a major need for the imperative need to guard the children of the rich. So that proves bias all the way through this.
Yep. Pay for that. And it's kind of funny because that's what I keep seeing is industry is paying, like my case, they raped my daughter. His stepdad being the governor of Missouri, in fact, and his mother being Cindy Niemeyer, going by Teresa Parsons. Well, they paid $54,000 Child Protective Services. The Russian involved here, the funny part was, NAACP sued her for my civil rights violations, and that's how your Antifa got started. They're paying everybody but the victims.
Of course they are. They're running cover for their own fucking bullshit.
And then
You got it.
they're still charging me fucking child support after stealing my kid and getting her killed.
Okay, well, here's my thing with child support. If you want to read the policy and procedure of states, that's a business, right? I don't work for that business, neither do you. So it states under defined means of support for a child, food, lodging, clothing, and medical. Now, alimony, on the other hand, would be for the spousal report, and that's where you find money and property. That defeats the child support right there. Trespass of law again. We don't face because it's prejudice, but both loss of time and money. Invalidates all the contracts, and they know it. It's already defeated, but they're failing to recognize it. All the laws in the country have been defeated a long time ago. And you find those under Centauri cases, U.S. Supreme Courts, and in bond cases under state. They're sending y'all into the judicial racket because it's a racket.
Yeah,
And
it's exactly what it looks like.
Well, they're holding all the cards. Get judges.
Yeah.
And those bonds you're talking about earlier,
Yeah.
they're sitting safe inside the judge's chamber.
Well, okay, so the Senator O'Laughlin, the one like they're asking to step down, she runs like the Children's Trust Fund board.
Yes, that's what empowers the attorneys.
So they're asking her to step down. So this is about the kids. I'm telling you, it all goes back to them every time.
Well, my biggest thing is how do you protect the child and not protect the family?
Good question.
Because child services claim for funds was to protect the family. Now there's individually identifying protection and selling off the family in world law. And world law is called individual protection under diplomatic security in a country by foreign nations, because none of us are originally from the U.S. So our original countries here, because when they separate our family, there's going to be a treasury separation by the financial federals of that country. Now, the dowries of England, well, when the daughter of the king gets married, half the treasury of that country goes with her. That's what they're doing in world politics.
Oh.
I'm their treasuries of England, also of the royal family of the queen. We are that
crown colony or whatever they say.
But we're also known as international terrorist situations peacekeepers. The problem is they bit one ass, they can bite back real hard. So I've been on the phone with Cambridge University over in London, New York, as well as Scotland Yard. Who else would be the world police other than the oldest police unit in the country?
Okay, these are who they're asking to step down. These two people.
Who is it? I can't see it.
That's Senator O'Laughlin and Senator Rowden.
Yeah, Rowden definitely needs to go.
Yeah.
Now, here's the good news for you all. I'm actually sitting with a presidential judicial treason notice, arrest warrant. So when we're ready to go after these family courts for a private matter in a commercial mode, trespass of law by not having a pay agreement. Now, businesses are only in debt collection, okay? They need to take you through small claims courtrooms, not through the family courtroom, because they are not living people. Living people requires the inaction of the court, mother and father. Now, there's the problem, because these people have no interest in except debt collection. They have no pay agreement, which invalidates the court. And therefore, my judicial treason order comes in effect. And these kids aren't taken for crimes nor medical services because they never went to a hospital. And the parents aren't convicted. Like the U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice said, oh, shit, boy, you just fucked them all up. That's when they turned the president of the country. And that's why they issued a judicial treason order to me. They're just waiting for me to write the charges.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Allie.
We'll get to it then.
I have public defenders ready to defeat your child support under illegal contracting too on the federal levels. You just got to get above the state. I've been busy. I've been prepping the way. I'm just making sure y'all get through.
Well, I'm learning a lot here today.
This guy got the Friend of Corn Award.
Well, here's the other part. You can also go to the Department of Justice website and look for the standard Form 95. The standard Form 95 will take out the insurance, and it will also take out a bond if you file it in double. Now you remove the bond like I did your task force during the last presidential election is why you didn't see no drug busts, because I took away their security bond. So they couldn't move. They're no longer security agents. Now they have it repaid up, which is not supposed to occur. So I'll have to go take their business EIN numbers next, just to go ahead and remind them who's who. But that's what the whole game plan was. That's why I parked them. They've never been hit like that before, ever. One move, one took them all out. I can do the same thing with your city, your county, your state, or your federal. You locate the bond, takes 28 days. If you get the bond becomes deficient or forfeit at any point in time, they lose their government status right there.
Well, and by that definition, Judge Breslow should not even be sitting on his bench, which is the one that was in charge of the Hilligus case, because he has an invalid bond.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And that's our accountability of our elected officials too. I got busy. I got looking for the accountability section. I just happened to have some help. But that's why, I ended up invoking you remember hearing about the Postmaster General?
Mm-hmm.
I invoked the civil servants of the mail service, as well as both sides sectors of the Department of Transportation, east and west of the U.S. Because my dad and them, we're general contractors in the United States. We're contractors. And, well, that's just the way it is. My cousins do one half the country. My dad and them do the other half. So I ended up with both sectors of the Department of Transportation is what happened.
Right. So we had a really, really good show. We're going to wind it up because we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. We hope you guys enjoyed the show we presented today, and we hope it helped you learn a lot and helped you become proactive in fighting this fight. And you should go to that Jefferson City rally that's going on. That's going to be huge. Any last words there, you guys?
I just want to just say again, we really owe it to this man named Isaac that put this whole thing together. Like, I just found this today, so it's really important. I knew it when I seen it.
Definitely. No, it was huge. It gave us a lot of information that we would not have connected dots on otherwise.
Thanks for sharing, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, like I think it's really the start of that whole 15-minute new.
That's what it looks like to me.
It is. They want to combine
that. Yeah, it's what we all don't want to happen. So
they want to try and force us into a situation that they've engineered so that they can do what they want and rob us blind and kill us off. That's what it looks like.
They're going to profit here on the compass, compassions, and health is what they're getting ready to do under psychological.
Of course they are.
They knew that was coming.
That's their number one excuse when they try to take people's kids away from them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But the problem is, take the kids. You take the president's kids, you're going to get killed. What do you think is going to happen taking these people's kids?
We're letting them take them. Nothing's happening. We're not doing anything. We're letting them do it, dude. That's what's up. We're letting them do it.
Everybody's pigeonholing the issue and not connecting the dots that it's happening all across the board.
Amen. Amen.
They had to put me in jail to get my kid. Like, they knew. Like, I wasn't there when they took her. Like, they did put me away. Then
they're not even a legal organization. You cannot have an organization that is biased in the United States, period.
Well, they do it all the time.
Right.
We're supposed to be able to have one, but here we are in this mess, right?
It's also monopoly and taking
what
control
the fuck?
of the family. And
I know what the fuck is right. WTF in capital letters.
Hey, for the Ohio, when about these train derailments, go talk to your pharmacist about a counter agent. He can help you all negate a lot of it real quick.
Okay. And that's for those of you that are watching in Ohio, and Allie, that applies to you too. Go look into that.
Yeah.
Good idea.
What is it, Minneapolis? Like, they want to shoot up straight up there, that little pipeline they want to do.
Well, do you remember over there in Indianapolis?
They need to be looking into their bills and what their senators are doing, like really paying attention.
Yeah, because it's important.
And Kansas City and down by what was it? Louisiana? Was it Louisiana? Indiana? Shoot.
Well, I keep finding the governor's wife and the entire family is Mississippi registered social workers up here kidnapping kids, and also under identity theft.
Man,
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Dottie.
I'm just saying that's some intense stuff. That's a lot to take in. I mean, people just kind of take it in, and you only got till Tuesday.
Well,
Yeah.
Take it in really quick and then show up.
Yes, please. As many people as possible. I mean, this is important, folks. This is about the
I mean,
kids.
this is beyond just Missourians. Like this is,
It's happening all across the country
yeah. Like we need to
and across
back
the globe, actually.
people need to step up and back Missouri and people that are going to this protest. People
Yep.
from wherever, because this is it's coming to you.
Yeah, it is.
It's already here. It's
Well,
already
you
here.
The services, they plan to double the number next year. I've already seen the reports.
Jeez.
Right. And
The
they're
thing is,
living on my knees.
instead of begging for mercy, how about we take that mercy?
Because I'd rather I'm gonna die on my feet. Never gonna live on my knees. Screw that shit.
That's exactly.
I'm gonna die free.
Yep.
Damn straight.
Well, the thing about
it's
not to
Tuesday,
be
I think at 11 a.m., Jefferson City, Missouri, at the state capitol that they're having this protest.
11 a.m. Jefferson City, Missouri, Central Time
Tuesday.
You have to be there because if we want to shut
on the
it down,
30th.
Where at?
Jefferson City, Missouri.
Where at in Jefferson City though?
At the state capitol.
At the
Where
Capitol.
me and Dottie were about a year and a half ago when I was up there in August of 2022.
They didn't want to.
What day are they having it?
Yeah, they didn't want us there. They threw us through a time loop, didn't they?
August 20th? Yeah, okay. I might be there by then.
May
I
wanna
hope.
if not,
That's
there's
the day after tomorrow.
Tuesday.
I mean, there's commercial
Oh,
and I know Greyhound runs from Springfield all the way up to Jeff City, and they also come from the north. I mean, I used to have boys run from up north all the way down here. I think it was what, $79 a ticket.
I don't know. But
are you going, Allie?
Stuff. These people, they have people carpooling and things. I don't know. Maybe I'll find out some more information. Maybe I'll try to reach out to that lady
I think Allie's in Ohio.
and
Well,
see if I can
Oh,
find more information out.
Flanagan Father's Rights may help you guys get down here if you wish.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I heard about this today. I watched it and I was just like, we have to go talk about this and we need to tell people to show up. This is really important.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you next time. We'll do another show soon again, Dottie, you and me.
okay.
We haven't done that in a while. This is the first in like a minute, huh?
Yeah, this was an important one. This really needed to be heard. Like people need to hear this.
Yep.
Can you make sure to put it on my page, or what do I got to do to get you links or anything?
It's on the Sacred Lovisa page. It's also on my News for Us page and several others.
And then it's on
The links should be in the descriptions on one of the lives.
yeah.
All right, Dottie. You,
On Facebook.
Will you send them the links to the show, Angie?
I put it out.
Okay.
You have it.
All right, take a look.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Night, guys.